So both of you guys have gotten to know Joey McGuire a little bit. John, he was here for several years at Baylor, and now obviously, Don's covering him out in Lubbock. To me, it feels like the perfect marriage, right? You have this Texas bred guy who has all kinds of connections in Texas high school football. He won at a really high level there. And he was really eager to be a college coach in this state. He was up for the Baylor job when Dave Aranda got it. So what do you guys think? Is it a home run hire for the Red Raiders?
Well, it's been a really good hire for the Red Raiders so far, Brice, on a whole bunch of levels. One, I think, and I'll try to go through these quickly, but he almost immediately upgraded the recruiting. He started, he had 20 commitments back in, I want to say April. I remember at the time that he got his 20th, I looked on, the Rivals 24/7 recruiting lists, and there's no other team in the FBS in the country that had more than 11. I mean, literally had twice as many commitments in April. Had a class nearly full in April. Twice as many commitments as anybody. Now, and so they were ranked, number one, number two at the time based on quantity. Now, I think they're in, still top 20, top 25. But I think the biggest shortcoming for Tech over the last decade has been simply the talent level hasn't been there, and they had to upgrade the talent and recruit better. And it appears that Joey is going to do that with his pretty magnetic personality, coupled with his energy, coupled with, as you said, all the high school connections. Not only that Joey has, but with all the guys on his staff who have coached in Texas high schools before, kind of lays the groundwork for them to recruit better. Baylor, you look at, I think Tech is hoping to do what Baylor's done the last few years. The Bears were as I've said, told somebody, they were like the NFL Combine All-Stars this past year. And that's what Tech kind of wants to get to, is recruiting a lot of speed and fast guys, and then kind of figuring it out. He's also just been really well connected with Texas Tech fans. He had a lot of familiarity with Tech because his best friend in high school played here, and Joey went to UT Arlington, as you guys know, which didn't have a football team at the time. And so he several times when he was 18 to 22 years old, he was driving out here to Lubbock to watch Tech games because his best buddy, a tight end named Roger Corn from Crowley, was on the team. And he said, I asked him, I said, how many games are we talking about? He'd say, he said, no, 3 or 4 a year, probably. So he was very familiar with Lubbock and Texas Tech and Jones Stadium atmosphere and all those things. And, then he comes in and, the very first thing he does, literally the very first thing he does when they introduce him at his press conference is, and this seemed kind of hokey and silly at the time, but he led the people in the Raider Power chant. It was pretty ubiquitous here at Tech, whether it's a football game, basketball game, baseball game, when things are going well or when they need to get going. One side of the crowd will yell Raider, and the other side will yell Power. And Joey leads these people in the Raider Power the very first, the very first rattle out of the box. That's the first thing he does. And that kind of gets you off to a good start. And he's never really stumbled since then in terms of just an overwhelming amount of support and goodwill. People really love this guy, have really loved this guy from the jump. And then the team, they're 4-3 right now, which doesn't sound great, but and I wrote this week. I think the best thing about these first 7 games is there hasn't been a single game, and there hasn't been a long stretch in any games where people were really turned off and grumbling, and they're just like, what the heck am I watching? Which there's been a lot of that over the last decade here. But this team, even in the losses, has been competitive, and has been competitive pretty much series to series. Just not many, really hardly any stretches of bad football. and that's what people here have been really eager to see. So he hasn't really made a misstep yet.
Yeah. John, what do you say?
Yeah, I can see how Joey would fire up a fan base. I mean, you kind of get fired up just interviewing him. He's so, optimistic and outgoing. Boy, players just love him. I mean, I interviewed Matt Jones this week for a feature. He's from Odessa Permian, and he called Joey, he's like a second father. I mean, players just really gravitate to him, and I could see why their recruiting has gone so well. He knows all the coaches in the state. The guy, to me, he fits at Tech. Maybe this is going a little too far. I'm going to say like Spike, had the high school coaching in Texas background. We'll see if he produces like Spike, but as far as just kind of a natural fit, I think he might be the best since Spike at Tech.
And Don, you referenced the Raider power beginning, and I do feel like maybe regionally, nationally, people might look at Joey and go, "Oh, is this guy for real with all the let's go?" I mean, that's his thing. Let's go. And I would say this, to me, Joey is a lot like Scott Drew. And what I mean by that is a lot of people would look at Scott Drew from the outside and they would ask, is this guy for real? Is he really this bubbly? Is he really this positive? Is he really this energetic? And John and I can tell you from spending a lot of time around Scott Drew, certainly John as the beat writer for Baylor men's basketball since the dawn of time, can tell you that Scott is just like that. And I think Joey is just like the personality that he puts out there. He's a guy that likes to get people fired up, and that, he talks about, attacking each day and each moment and all of that. And as John said, I think that that plays well with recruits. I mean, they want to play with a guy that, is going to be fired up, but he also cares about them as people too, so it's not like he's just hollering and yelling all day long, but certainly that is a big element of his personality.
Yeah, one of the things, and certainly not the only one who has posed this question, and that since over the last 11 months now. And the question is, where does Joey get all this energy from? Because it seems to be nonstop and every day.
Right.
And it's like, and I mean, he's 51 years old. I'm in my 50s. I certainly cannot muster that level of intensity and enthusiasm the way he does on a daily basis. I'm just like, how do you do it, man?
Yeah, tell us the secret, Joey. Come on, man.
I mean, we were out there in August. In August, Texas Tech practices. They would practice in the mornings, and so we would go out there and practice at 9 a.m. or something, or about 9 a.m., something like that. There was one morning, Joey, he walked over near me on the sidelines, and he said something complimentary to me. I don't remember exactly what, but I was like, I'm not as good as you. I was like, and I said, Joey, what time did you get up this morning, Joey? And I said, I just set my alarm and rolled out of bed and threw on some shorts and tennis shoes and came out here. I set my alarm at 8 o'clock. What time were you up here this morning? And he said 5.
Yeah.
I was like, see, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got me by 3 hours.
Cut from a different cloth, those guys.